Vehicles are not just a means of transportation, they are also financial assets. There's a common saying that new cars lose a quarter of their value as soon as you pull them out of the parking lot, and that saying is quite true. Research has shown that the average car depreciates 23.5% in its first year of ownership. As a result, many people have been reluctant to spend the money on a new car, knowing that the vehicle is likely to lose value significantly during the first year or two of ownership. But with this mindset, why aren't 4 or 5-year-old cars cost half this year's model? The short answer to this question is that it is a combination of market forces and the coronavirus. For more details, let's take a look at how we got here and why used cars are still so expensive. How much does a used car cost? Even under the best of circumstances, it is common for used car sales to fluctuate from year to year. But prices have been rising steadily since the beginning of 2020. By last summer, the average cost of a used car had risen to a record $21,558. To the surprise of some, prices have only gone up since then. Even if used car costs continue to rise, it is by no means impossible to find a bargain. If you are open to different options, there are still plenty of cheap used cars to suit your needs and budget. However, if you own a particular make, model, or color, you are most likely paying a premium in today's market. COVID-19 caused a price increase. The used car market depends on a regular supply of vehicles, which is not a problem under normal circumstances. People keep selling their cars to buy a new one, or the lease ends and the vehicle is sold. Rental cars also make a major contribution to used vehicles, as they replace old vehicles in the fleet with new ones. But when consumers don't buy new cars, they stick with old ones. As a result, there are fewer used cars for sale. Without a healthy market for new car sales, the supply of used cars will be depleted and costs will skyrocket due to this reduction in inventory. This is exactly what we are experiencing today because the COVID-19 pandemic has primarily affected the used car market in two ways. First, supply chain bottlenecks have forced manufacturers to produce fewer new vehicles, increasing costs and discouraging people, many of whom are financially struggling, from buying new vehicles. At the same time, record unemployment and financial anxiety have encouraged people to buy used cars instead of new ones, or just keep their old cars for now until the economy stabilizes. These two factors contribute significantly to a single result: fewer used cars are available and more people are queuing to buy them. You don't need an economics degree to understand that lower supply and higher demand lead to higher prices. The good news about the effects of the coronavirus is that it appears to be temporary. Conditions in the supply chain have already improved for new automakers, and as people's lives slowly normalize, their spending habits will change as well. Used car costs are unlikely to fall to pre-COVID levels, but today's inflated prices are unlikely to become the new normal. The response to the pandemic contributed to the increase in prices. The response of governments and companies to the pandemic has also contributed to the rise in used car prices. When the IRS distributed stimulus checks to Americans, they expected most people to spend the money to catch up on rent and past due bills. In fact, millions of struggling Americans used their checks to get out of a hole. But millions more were spending their money on appliances, exercise equipment, and even used cars. According to J.D. Power, Detroit's used car sales were higher last year than in 2019 despite the pandemic, and the Detroit metropolitan area had one of the worst COVID-19 infection rates in the country. The resulting lockdowns may account for all these used car sales, with the state of Michigan at 9. Meanwhile, some states have tried to help their residents by suspending auto takeoffs. Even private companies have joined in, with many banks offering temporary deferrals for borrowers who have been affected by the coronavirus and are otherwise in good shape. Banks generally repossess a car after 1 or 2 late payments. However, in these tough times, deferrals of 90 and 120 days have become the norm for most brands. While this is a welcome vision of helping Americans in need, it also means fewer cars will be owned that end up in auction blocks. Although many hardworking citizens were able to keep their cars, this lack of vehicles raised the cost for used car dealers to purchase new inventory. It remains to be seen what effects these measures will have in the future. New cars are also more expensive. Another factor contributing to the rise in used car prices has nothing to do with the coronavirus. After all, new cars are simply better equipped than older models. A fully loaded modern vehicle can have surround sound, a motorized tailgate, heated seats, LCD monitors in the seats, a GPS, collision avoidance, and parking assistance. All of these systems cost money and some of them are very expensive. Summary: we can assume that these trends will continue for the foreseeable future, as used car prices are expected to continue to rise even after the pandemic. However, this should be done relatively slowly and over a moderate period of time. The current pandemic wave is just an anomaly. Regardless, advanced technology features, rising production costs, and inventory levels caused by the pandemic should keep used car prices at a modest rise for years to come. Thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Comment down below which topic should we do next.